Good to be here.
Great to have you. So have a seat. So we're close. We're always close. So, okay. So as we start, though, I just kind of like to kind of tell us your story, your entrepreneurial journey.
Sure.
And how did you land at founding Big Imprint?
Yeah. Thanks for asking me over.
You're welcome.
This is fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Glad to be here. Glad you're here.
Yeah. So it's interesting to find myself as an entrepreneur, but I kind of I came into it because I found that I had a passion for web design and really like small businesses and medium-sized businesses, helping them grow, things that they need. So I found that it came about because I saw a need for it. So I saw that there was a need for it, and it was something that I really enjoyed to do. So that's a match made in heaven, you know.
Yeah. Okay. So how long have you been designing websites?
Since about 2008, started the company in 2009.
Okay. I remember, and I haven't had a chance to talk to you about this or your brother about it, but for some reason, I have in the back of my mind, when I first arrived at MCC teaching, I saw a newspaper article about these Anderson boys, and they had some kind of business going. I don't remember what it was, but
Okay.
But
What year was that?
05.
Okay.
You were
What would that have
12
been?
maybe.
We've had a lot of businesses.
Yeah, I know. So that's my question. So what are some of your lemonade stands from days gone by?
That's a good one, and we were just actually talking, my brother Andrew is here, which we were just talking about that the other day. So really I think the first one was making bread. This was 1985, I was about 5 years old, and we baked bread, Andrew and I, who's older than me by a few years, and we would actually bake the bread ourselves. It wasn't something that, we just, push the button on the oven. I remember mixing it and kneading it and everything, and then we would go door to door around the neighborhood. Put the bread in a cart, in plastic baggies, put it in a cart, put it on a wagon, and go door to door around the neighborhood. And it was because our parents were bringing us on a trip to Europe, so we wanted to buy Swiss Army knives. So we bought Swiss Army knives in Switzerland with our bread money.
Awesome.
That was our first one.
Okay, so from your bread money, your bread story, and all of the other small startups that you've done throughout the years, what are some lessons you draw from those days when you were a little guy?
Yeah.
And starting a business that you put to work today?
I mean, I think, lessons from those days are mostly about hard work and just how, you really, in all labor there's profit, and you can work hard and make something that people want. And, I mean, from those days, it just starts so simply, right? But like the idea of an actual lemonade stand, it's so simple, but business is so easy. If you have a good product, you treat people right, you charge fair prices, your business. You're going to do fine. You're going to do well. Yeah. So obviously there's a lot more complicated things you can do, but that's the gist of it. And you're right. It starts, with those concepts that are so easy.
Yeah. And my experience is, if you do those, good product, good price, take care of customers. Yeah. They're happy to pay you for what you're delivering.
Yeah, they should be. If they're not, then you can find somebody else.
Yeah. Well, if you're truly delivering the value.
No, absolutely. Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah. Okay.
People definitely. People are happy to pay for that. Good product, good price, good service. That's, you won't have any trouble.
Okay, so let's take this down the path of kind of the entrepreneurial startup ecosystem that it's not that we're necessarily building it, but we're building a more of awareness about various entrepreneurs and people who are starting businesses in Muscatine, in this area. You grew up here, you have your business currently operating in the area, and you've been around lots of different things. What do you see as maybe the key ingredients to building and fostering this environment for startups?
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to have Andrew come up and talk about that. That's really his deal. I think, for me, it definitely helps to have a community, that you can talk about these things together. Like in West Liberty, I mean, Jens and Megan are here. We're the West Liberty tech community, right? So we get together and talk about things. That's fun, and it does help to have that. But at the end of the day, I mean, that's not the thing really that's going to make an entrepreneur successful. I think you have to be self-driven, so there's a certain, I don't know, the ecosystem definitely helps, I think, for sure. And this type of thing is a big help. I mean, just celebrating entrepreneurship, making it, saying to people, it's okay, I guess like Andy Stoll, you referenced Andy Stoll, like he says, it's okay to be crazy, get all the crazies together and, do something. And that is healthy. That's really helpful, definitely.
So the entrepreneur needs to be self-driven.
Yeah.
On days when it's tough, when you've got that client who's not happy, or a project isn't being completed the way you're hoping.
Yeah.
On the days when it's really tough, how do you draw into that? How do you dig deep into what's driving you by yourself?
Yeah,
Self-driven thing.
that's a good question. I think different people deal with that in different ways. And I think I even deal with it in different ways. Some days I feel like I just, put my head down, put my nose to the grindstone and kind of plunge forward, and it's just one foot in front of the other. You have to get something done. Other days I feel like, the benefit of being an entrepreneur is you do have flexibility. So, if I need to take 15 minutes and go for a walk and clear my head, I can do that. So that's a very good question, because you do have those clients. There's this muscatinebusiness.org. Those guys are really hard to deal with.
I know. Doesn't return phone calls or emails, all kinds of stuff like that. Anybody know those people? Okay. All right.
Also, I've found it helps to wear the right thing. See, so if you wear a blue and white checkered shirt with a sweater, that's the key to success with that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So still kind of on the same lines of community building. What are the challenges that we, entrepreneurs in this community, what challenges do you think that we face that either are perhaps unique to the Muscatine area, or maybe not unique? They're not any different from any entrepreneur anywhere else.
Talent pool, absolutely.
Talent pool?
Yep. Yeah, hiring is by far the hardest thing. We're in a technical industry, so I think those jobs are in demand. I think it's a little bit harder probably than for a lot of other industries, but definitely it's hard to find the right people. Now, I mean, we also have a benefit because cost of living is so low here, respectively, that that makes it more affordable for us to hire those people. But it's hard to find people who are to get the talent pool that we want.
So what kinds of things can the community do? Whether it's the greater Muscatine community, maybe it's specifically at the community college or from the East Center. I mean, what kinds of things can this entrepreneurial ecosystem do to help with that problem?
Well, I mean, I think one part of it is making sure that our communities are places where people want to live, where young people want to live, because then it makes it a lot easier for that talent to be here.
Sure.
So that's a really big deal, And I think, we're in West Liberty, so we have 2 employees who drive from Iowa City and 1 employee who drives from Muscatine, who's here, Leslie. And, I mean, Yeah, you want to live somewhere where where there's things going on, and that's a huge thing. It really is. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about Big Imprint. And you told us earlier that you like working with small business.
We do.
That's why you do what you do. So
Yeah,
what is it about working with other small businesses, other small business owners that trips your trigger?
I think a lot of it is because we can really help them, and we can see that we can really help them. It's not just a cog in a wheel, so to speak. I mean, if we're making a website for a small business, it's a big deal for them, and I think that's where I have fun, is to see that it's really helps them. And like I tell people with what we do, I mean, with marketing, and you don't always think of websites as marketing, but it really is, and that's, you should always have a return on your investment. What we do should make you money. That's, that we're in the business of making other businesses money.
Okay. So
that's fun.
Okay. Yeah. So when a client comes to you and says, okay, that guy at the e-center said, yeah, I probably should have a website. And you talk to them about making sure that there's a return on investment. Mm-hmm. What are some of the ways that you work with your clients to help measure that return?
It's sometimes hard to measure. It's often hard to measure, right? So sometimes you can, of course. I mean, if it's an e-commerce site that's selling something, that's obviously a no-brainer. But other times are maybe a little bit more. They're harder to measure. But things like if people are finding you because of the website, or if people are, maybe they already know about you, but they are getting information about you that they wouldn't have otherwise, and then making that step to become a customer or a client, or answering common questions for people without maybe them having to pick up the phone. Then it's an employee's time. Those are all ways that the website can save you money or make you money. And yeah, I mean, it is definitely hard to track, or really hard to track. There's obviously metrics for how the website is being used, but it is often really tricky to track the ROI. And I think a lot of small businesses, medium-sized businesses even, are not always so sophisticated that they really are even tracking it, but they do kind of understand that it is serving them in that way, so. And honestly, we don't get into that a lot with them. We kind of leave it up to them as far as
right.
To follow through with that. But yeah,
right.
it's definitely effective.
Okay, so talk about some of the specific things that you do at Big Imprint. I mean, my experience with your company is your product called Friendly Sites.
Yes.
Which I love it, and I know you also do a lot of that would be. My word, I don't know if it's your word, much more full customization to a website,
right.
and lots of other marketing stuff.
Right, marketing stuff.
Yeah, tell us about some of the other marketing stuff rather than simply building a website, some of the things that you do for your clients. Right,
so almost all of our work starts with a website, not all, but most. But there are a lot of other peripheral things that that often tie in really nicely to a website. Email marketing, a bit of social, some print work, design, branding, all those things kind of often tie together really nicely, with a website project. And actually, one thing that we find really interesting is, and we see this all the time, the act of creating a website often causes a company to think about their own company structure in a way that they've never thought about before. So I wouldn't say we don't get paid for it, but in a sense we sometimes do business consulting, like, well, which pages am I going to have on the website? Well, that's their business structure in a sense,
Right.
And so, yeah, a lot of those things, just all kind of run together.
And then they have to figure out, okay, so we have this navigation on our website, that's our business structure.
Yep. In some sense.
Who's doing that back at the shop?
Right.
Who's responsible for each of those areas. Okay, so a client comes to you and says, well, you know, I've been marketing on Facebook.
Great.
And it's not really working very well.
Okay.
Now, what do you say? What's the magic formula there? Everybody thinks there's
What's the magic formula?
Facebook formula, right?
Well, Facebook is great. Yeah, you should advertise on Facebook or market on Facebook. I don't know, what kind of business is it?
That's a great question. Let's say it's got a retail component, and maybe their location isn't very well known.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there are so many things you can do. You know, it's, I'll give you a concrete example. I was talking to a restaurant the other day, well, a while back actually, and they had problems because the street outside the restaurant closed due to some flooding. And I remember talking to the chef and saying, there are so many things you could do, you know? I mean, there's so many things you could do with that. If you have been taking the time to build up an email list, for example, you know, have a flood special. Talk to people about where they can park. You know, so it's hard to just, I guess, say hypothetically, you know, what I would recommend to them.
Right.
But Facebook marketing is great. It's super. I mean, it's great. And you know, even paid ads on Facebook can be really good, you know, because they're so targeted, so specifically targeted. You can target so nicely on Facebook. So, I mean, we'd recommend that. It's great. We run those. We run search engine, you know, search engine marketing ads and everything. They're all those options are good. Since we're in the industry, you know, I'd obviously want to ask about the website.
Right.
Facebook is a great place to start for a lot of people, and a lot of people eventually, you know that they need something outside of that too. So. Yeah.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about the Friendly Sites product.
Yeah.
I'm all for shameless plugs, you know. That's what we need to do. It's a product that we use through the e-center, and it's slick, it's simple to use. So tell us, how did that idea germinate? Where did it come from? Yeah. And then how has it evolved and served clients with it?
Again, we saw a need. So for custom work, we start that at $4,000 and up if you want a custom website, you know, with design mock-ups and the whole deal. A lot of people wouldn't necessarily see a return on that investment, right? So for a local business, most people are either doing it themselves, which is great. You know, if you can, you should. They're going to a freelancer, which again is great. I want to support those guys. Or they're going to one of these big cookie cutter websites, you know, the bigger companies that do kind of a pressure sales tactic. And a lot of people need something that's more professional than any of those, and maybe has a little bit more consistency than any of those can provide, a little bit higher quality than those options can provide. But again, don't have the budget for a totally custom website. So that was the need. We saw that as a big need. So we launched Friendly Sites, and there are a few different packages, as you know, but typically we sell the $1,000 package, and it just seems to be a really good fit. Very easy to use. You know, Keurig, the coffee maker, just in last year they sold for almost $14 billion. And I mean, it's all because of simplicity. That's the whole reason, you know. It's actually more expensive. It's worse for the environment, but it's so easy, you know. I mean, it's just, we have one and we love it. It's, yeah, and that's Friendly Sites. Okay. It's easy, so easy.
Friendly Sites is the Keurig of web design.
I'll take that.
All right, cool, good. All right.
TM,
right. Okay, so another kind of a different line of conversation. We've known each other for a while, and I know that you're always involved with your community. You've been on the city council, involved with Rotary, your church, and all that stuff. and I know that service is really important to you as an individual. How do you put that into the mix of launching a business, starting a business, and helping it grow?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question because those things take a lot of time. And I think networking is really important. And so being involved in those places and building your resume in a community, I think is really worthwhile. And it's worth getting involved for those reasons, if nothing else. The actual, service projects, being involved in Rotary and City Council and Chamber of Commerce, the projects themselves are valuable, the relationships are valuable. So I see it as an investment, to put time into it is worthwhile.
Not necessarily a metric or a number on the return to that investment, but...
No, I don't know.
Yeah, you don't look at it that way.
No, I don't. I guess I never have. I don't know.
Yeah. And I think that's what makes, from my perspective, I think that's what makes a good business leader, somebody who serves the community and leads that way as well. All right. What are some of the milestones that you've met with Big Imprint over the, what are we at, 7 years, 6 years? Going on 7, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good question too. I think definitely for a small company, again, I think it comes down to employees. So I think everyone we hire is a milestone in the sense of, you really have to kind of stair step your way up, right? Mm-hmm. So we have, I do the sales and manage the company, and then we have a project manager, that's Leslie. Then we have a developer and we have a designer. But you have to kind of balance your way up. So we're hiring now for a salesperson, because we just see so much potential out there. But as soon as we have that person, then we're going to need another developer. Is it going to be our bottleneck, right? So I think every hire, is every position that say I'm not doing and I can hand to somebody else full time is a big milestone. I don't know if that's the angle you were thinking about, but that's the way I see it.
I think that's neat. For an entrepreneur, because when you start and you launch something, you're wearing all of those hats.
Absolutely.
And at some point, you have to take it off and hand it over to somebody. So
yeah.
So that's a huge milestone.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
cool.
right.
All right. So what are some of the maybe 1 or 2 or 3 key lessons that you've learned that you would like these folks, these other entrepreneurs, to learn from your experience?
Yeah, I was thinking about that earlier today. I think probably the biggest one for me is just to get started. Because you can't study your way into success. You can't. It's just, you have to start, stumble, learn, repeat. And that's my experience, is just getting started, and learning as you go. I think that's the number one thing. And I think, another one is to think about the things that you don't understand and research them, So it's one thing to just try to muddle through, but I do a lot of reading, like for, an entrepreneurial books and blogs and that type of thing. And it's fun to learn how to become a better entrepreneur. You can, there's so many resources, to do that. So, but 1 foot on experience and 1 foot on knowledge, it kind of goes like this. So, cool.
All right. So I'm going to wrap up my prepared questions, and we'll open up for Q&A. I close with a standard one. What's the worst part about being an entrepreneur? And then what's the best part about being an entrepreneur?
Okay. Yeah. Those are somehow related. What I mean is, the worst part and the best part, I would say, really, it all depends on you, right? And when the rubber meets the road, it all depends on you. So we might have a really good year, or we might have a really bad year. And that's the best and the worst part, you know, that I'm not, people who are working a job everyone is on some kind of a fixed income, even if you're, you know, not in what we would call a fixed income, right? I mean, if you're getting a paycheck from somebody else, you're on some kind of a fixed income. That's like the opposite of what I am, right? I mean, I could have a really good year, I could have a really bad year, and I've had both. So that's, you know, that in some sense is the best and the worst. There's just so much possibility and there's so much risk at the same time, you know. I think there's definitely, I'm proud to be an entrepreneur, you know, I'm proud of that, and I'm proud to be a job creator. So I think those are really great things too, you know, I'm really proud of that. I have to say I also like some of the stereotypical pieces of being an entrepreneur, like I wear slippers in the office, you know, and that's, you know, yeah, why not? Why wouldn't you take advantage of that, you know? So you can have a little bit of fun with it. Yeah. At the same time, you know, if you have clients or customers, you still have a boss. You know what I mean? I mean, that is your work. So there's definitely, you know, stresses to that, but overall it's a blast.
All right. Well, Ethan, this is to say thank you. It says here, I want to put a ding in the universe. That's my favorite Steve Jobs quote. And I like to give you this to say thank you for sharing your ding. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right. Okay. So thanks, everybody. We still got lots of food from Al, so eat up and come and see us again next month. Same place, same time.
All right. Thank you, Jim.
You bet.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks.